folks, and welcome to TheyMightBeRacing.com. It's a cold morning here in Phoenix, meaning it's, I don't know, probably 40, 50 degrees out. And today I'm tackling the fuel tank for my 53 Studebaker Champion. Now, restoring a fuel tank is a fairly straightforward process. What you need to make sure to do is to take care of not only the outside, but the inside of the tank. And so, because of this, I have gone out and I've picked up one of the kits that you can get that helps you restore the inside of your tank. Today's kit just happens to be one from the 415 folks. They are a number of other companies that make these kits. And what you need to do is once you've dropped the tank, you drain out the fuel, rinse it a few times. If you see any large-scale rust or debris in the tank, a trick you can do is throw some gravel in the tank, shake it around, and then dump that out. And then also make sure to remove things like the fuel sender, any fuel lines, anything that's inside the tank that is not inherently part of the tank. Now the first step to doing this stuff is to get a cleaning agent and run it through. That will help remove any of the old flashing rust, any varnish, debris, goo that's in there. From the 415 kit they use their Marine Clean product, which works really well. So you go ahead, you put that in there, you mix it with some hot water, so flip the tank around for a while, and then eventually you drain it off. Now the next step is you need to prep your metal, just like anything else. You know, if I'm sandblasting parts, I need to make sure all the stuff's off of them. What they have provided in their kit is Metal Ready. Now what the Metal Ready does is it goes ahead and it etches the metal and makes sure it's ready to accept the sealant. Now with this stuff you can use, if there's a little dampness still in the tank from the previous step, you can still use this, it's no big deal. You go ahead and run that through. Now the interior surface of your tank is ready for the sealant. One of the important notes on this is that you have to make absolutely sure the interior of your tank is dry before the next step. So if you have a heat gun out in the garage, you can use that. Forced air, use that. If you have neither of those, go inside, steal the wife's hairdryer when she's not looking, hook it up to one of the lines on the tank, and go ahead and blow into it. At this stage, all of the old gasoline, the vapors, and everything should be out of the tank, so it should be pretty safe to work with. Anything before that, you're dealing with gas vapors. And to give you an idea, I took this tank off a week ago, rinsed and drained it a couple of times, set it outside to air dry, and I can still smell gas vapors coming out of it. The final stage is to run the tank sealer through. And once it's all dried out, you go ahead and you run the tank sealer through. The important thing to do with this is, and follow the directions, but is to rotate the tank to make sure that every single surface on the interior gets coated. Now, while these things are great for treating the interior of the tank, they don't always help you with the exterior of the tank. Now, if you're looking at the top of the tank here, you can see that it's not too bad. You know, it was painted black originally. You can see a little bit of flashing rust on it. You can see some of the metal showing through. It's a fairly clean surface, should be easy to clean up. If you look at the underside, however, you find out what very frequently happens to 50-year-old hardware on old cars. I've got a very, very thick patina of road goo on the bottom here. And it's a mixture of oil, tar, dirt, and all sorts of other crap that's been picked up over the years. With this, you know, normally on the front side you can just grab your portable sandblaster and just zap it and it'll be clean. This stuff, because it has a less rigid nature, is actually very difficult to sandblast. It takes forever to do. So what you want to do with this is, and mind you, this is after you've got all the gasoline vapors out of the tank, because if you create a spark and it blows up, it's your own fault, don't blame me. Is then go over it with something like a wire brush on the end of a drill. The other thing you can do is, depending on how much oil and goo is in it, how gooey it is, you can zap it with a heat gun and use a putty knife to scrape it off, which is my traditional approach to getting undercoating off. And this stuff acts very similar to old-style undercoating. Once you've got these exterior surfaces cleaned as well as the interior surface prepped, you can then go ahead and paint it properly. For this, what I like to use is 415 paint. This stuff adheres to rust. It's bulletproof. It's great for treating any of the undercarriage parts. You can then go over the top of it with their chassis coat paint, which provides a nice either glossy finish or whatever finish you purchase. And to give you an idea, I was prepping the rest of the fuel system last weekend, running all the parts of the sandblaster. This just happens to be the fuel fill. And you can see the nice coat paint I've got on that. That's just hand done with Pour 15 and chassis coat. So the important things to remember when doing your fuel tank is no sparks or anything near it until it's completely cleaned out. Don't forget to treat the exterior as well as the interior. The way that I actually like to do it is to get all of the interior cleaned up but not sealed, then clean the exterior. Because it may be that something that does not look like it's a serious issue at the early stages becomes a serious issue later on, and you're talking about either getting a new tank or doing welding, you might as well know that ahead of time before you waste the tank sealer. The other thing is a lot of gas tanks have an emptying petcock in them at the bottom, at the lowest point of the tank where it sits on the car. On these old cars that have never been pulled, never been opened, don't bother trying to get it open. You're going to have to clean the whole thing up first before that comes out, but you will want to be able to remove that when you're talking about draining things like the metal ready out or the sealant out of the gas tank, because this ends up being the lowest point of the car. So I'll go through and show you what it looks like in the later stages as we go through and clean out the tank. Now obviously I can't show you too much about what the interior of the tank looks like, but I'll at least show you how I proceed through the stages.